If you want to know how we got here, there's troops in the Capitol, there's brown grandmas in prison vans, there's universities fearing for their very existence. You need to read Thom Hartmann's Hidden History of Neoliberalism, how Reagan gutted America through a corporate coup d'etat. It didn't start with Trump. It's been 40 years in the making. The brilliant historian turned broadcaster Thom Hartmann has torn back the curtain on the corporate lockup of America, which in Trump 2.0 is reaching its armed conclusion. You know, the great economist John Maynard Keynes said, "Madmen in authority who hear voices in the air are distilling their frenzy from some academic scribbler of a few years back." And the academic scribbler behind today's circus of fascist-style defenestration of our economy and rights, well, I knew him well because I studied for my degree in economics under Milton Friedman, a lover of both authority and madmen. President Trump has only accelerated the decline into oligarchy, first launched with a happy grin by this earlier president. Hartmann lays bare the origins of the scheme to take from the poor, give to the rich in his brilliant book, The Hidden History of Neoliberalism, how Reaganism gutted America and how to restore its greatness. Even "Make America Great Again" was a Reagan motto, promoted by Roger Stone, the Proud Boys leader and felon pardoned by Trump. Because I was a participating witness at Friedman's founding of the Greed is Good economic program, which would brutalize America's working class, Thom asked me to write the foreword to his book. I want you to read it, this introduction, then get the book before it's banned, and I ain't kidding. Milton Friedman's feet, didn't touch the floor. This was the University of Chicago, 1975, and Professor Friedman was God. God sat in a chair, the little man's feet dangling, as he humiliated students who deviated in the slightest from the gospel of Friedman, which he dubbed neoliberalism. I kept my head down. Friedman didn't know that I was sent to study with him and the Chicago boys by the city's labor leadership. They wanted to know if this Friedman was as dangerous as he seemed. Friedman was the not-so-hidden hand behind the new dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet. By the way, it's Pinochet, not Pinochet. He wasn't French. Pinochet liked to throw dissenters out of helicopters, whatever it took to create what Friedman called the miracle of Chile, a right-wing makeover of the nation's economy. Bless Thom Hartmann for exposing this neoliberal genesis story. The miracle of Chile was a con. Hartmann notes that Chile's economy went into freefall after the Chicago Boys regime. Unemployment hit 30%. Now, Hartmann's book is a beautiful history of an ugly idea that greed is good, that uncontrolled greed is better, even if it leads to mass misery. Squeezed into this thin volume is a huge amount of I didn't know that info that's both horrifying and weirdly fun. I didn't know that George W. Bush's Medicare Modernization Act of 2003 resulted in the quiet privatization of nearly half of Medicare's services. Yow. Hartmann's most original contribution is to posit that the antidote to neoliberalism's poison is not a New Deal, but rather Alexander Hamilton's American plan. Now, in 1791, George Washington requested Hamilton to draft a guide for strategic tariff protection, government support for jobs and industry, government regulation of products, and, crucially, direct control of banking. Hamilton's American plan made America rich, and China rich too. Hartmann dismisses the baloney that China's manufacturing boom was the result of throwing the economy into the free market soup. Hartmann was studying in China in 1986 when Chairman Deng and Premier Zhao came down on the side of Hamilton after a 2-year fight with Friedmanite economists within the Communist Party. The losing neolibs had wanted China to take one big step and follow the Soviet Union's shock therapy. That is, jump straight into the freezing waters of totally rule-free markets, uncontrolled international trade, privatization of industry, and shrunken government. We know what happened. Russia's still in shock. Wages and production have shriveled. Life expectancy has fallen, while China's government-guided industry now produces 1/8 of the planet's goods and services. And the U.S., well, as Hartmann puts it in a subtitle, America adopted neoliberalism, and all I got was this Made in China t-shirt. The neolib's useful idiot, New York Times pundit Thomas Friedman, praised deregulation as, quote, a straitjacket sewn by Margaret Thatcher with buttons attached by Ronald Reagan. Now, Hartmann, a happy ending kind of guy, tells us how America can tear off the t-shirt, unhook the straitjacket, and escape the neoliberal madhouse. Now, that's quite a feat in 170 pages. I'd like you to get this book at your fave bookstore, or, hey, you can go to gregpalast.com, make a donation to support our investigations, and I'll get you a signed copy of the book. Now, this is Greg Palast reporting.